very hard act to follow, the President of the United States, to sort of stare at the camera, particularly if you've just sort of run in a relatively small state. One thing Joni Ernst really did in that was to talk again, as she did during her campaign last year, about her family situation, talking about being so poor that she only had one pair of shoes. We're joined by Peter Canellos, our executive editor.
Hey.
How well do you think that she did, all things considered?
I think she did okay, given the disabilities that you described. I mean, the president speaking before this giant audience, she's like staring at a camera, looking a little unfamiliar there.
Right.
But one thing that struck me about her speech is that she mentioned bipartisanship repeatedly, over and over again. The president did a fair amount also in his speech. So clearly we're at a moment when the Republicans want to make government work, and Obama is on several issues, really prepared to work with them. So it may not be such a gridlocked year after all.
The mood is really the mood is really different, isn't it? I mean,
but I think that the fact that she struck those notes of bipartisanship was to try to create a contrast with some of the more pointed parts of the President's State of the Union, and the fact that she referenced the election results several times. We heard the message you sent in November loud and clear. I think that's a direct challenge to the president, and the fact that they think he has not heard that message, and the fact that she said that's why the new Republican majority you elected started by reforming Congress to make it function again. I think, again, that's to try to create the contrast that the president's not listening to the voters. So I thought that was interesting, and the fact that they still hit on some pretty sort of red meat Republican ideas.
Talked about right to life
right
issues.
to life, repeal and replace health care law, even though that's not really going anywhere in Congress right now, but she hit that. Correct executive overreach, that's still something that a large majority of Americans still have an issue with. Immigration.
Not a ton on immigration.
You're right.
Yeah.
Definitely avoided. I think what we saw in that, and remember, what we should say is Joni Ernst does not just represent herself. She is representing essentially the RNC and the Republican Party. Peter, pretty interesting that this is a very big contrast to the kind of yelling and screaming you hear on the floor of the House about immigration. Wasn't this more of a muted sort of?
Yeah, I felt it was quite muted, and I felt like it was sort of getting down to business kind of thing. I do agree with Carrie that she is trying to create a contrast with the president. She's trying to make it seem to people as though Congress is now in good, responsible hands, and the Republicans are going to be good stewards, even leaders now in pushing things forward. But that's not what we've been hearing from Republicans for 6 years. So it's kind of an interesting contrast.